Your company have been at the centre of a very high-profile one at the moment with Candace Owens, who's now left Daily Wire. Was she fired, or did she leave of her own volition?
I'm not going to speak to this topic, Piers.
At all?
At all.
You can't give me any insight into why she departed?
No hints, no nothing. I'm not going to speak to this.
Can I ask why?
I mean, you can ask.
No, I'm not. You can ask why you don't want to say anything.
Again, you can ask.
Ben Shapiro has been getting destroyed left and right by so many people online, and now it's time for Piers Morgan to dig into the whole Daily Wire versus Candace Owens. Why did Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring decide to fire Candace Owens from the Daily Wire? Are they being hypocritical? In my opinion, yes. And it seems like in Piers Morgan's opinion, yes as well. Let's check out Ben Shapiro making an appearance over on Piers Morgan and Piers Morgan tearing him apart for firing Candace Owens from the Daily Wire. Let's check this out.
Conditions with the Palestinian Authority or with Hamas has been obviously proved false by the fact that Israel literally withdrew all IDF forces from the Gaza Strip in 2005. Hamas took control. They spent the last 20 years turning it into a giant terror base. From the Israeli perspective, my assumption is that what they are figuring is degrade Hamas's military capacity such that they cannot be an offensive threat to the state of Israel, and then try to enact some sort of military control of the area sufficient to prevent any future threat from arising from that area. I'm sure that Israel would love to hand the area over to Egypt. Egypt says no. Egypt doesn't want any part of it. Israel would love to hand it over to Jordan. Jordan says no. Jordan doesn't want any part of it. Israel's tried to hand it over to the Saudis, to the UAE, to the United States, to literally anyone. No one wants to run that area specifically because the population.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Is already quite radicalized and was radicalized before October 7th. And so what you're probably going to end up with, and I said this, I think, the first time I appeared on the show, which was shortly after October 7th in this context, what you're probably going to end up with is some form of joint military rule in the Gaza Strip in which Israel has the intelligence capacity to go in and conduct raids in terror hotbeds the same way that they do right now, for example, in the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, places like Jenin, places like Nablus. The IDF is constantly attempting to go in and root out terror cells in these particular areas. One of the big flaws that led to October 7th was the fact that Israel had no forces on the ground and no actual intelligence capability inside the Gaza Strip.
One of the consequences of this war has been a lot of very high passions on both sides, a lot of angry disagreements. And
let me know in the comments if you disagree or agree with this, but I don't understand why people are getting so passionate about, the Middle Eastern war, taking sides on that particular war. In my opinion, if you are American, the only correct stance to really have on it is we should choose America first. Like, do things that benefit America more than they benefit. And I understand that we're allies and everything like that, but a lot of the time it seems like we care more about the well-being of our allies than we do about the well-being of our own country, And it's like, I understand that's easy to say, and we also have to maintain the relationships with our allies and everything, but the citizens that are taking passionate sides, like American citizens who are taking passionate stances for one side against the other side, it's like, you're not involved in this war, right? Like, this isn't your war. What are we doing? Why are we taking sides in this war that's not even ours? We're not even involved in this. How about we just take the side of we should do things that benefit America and let the other countries kind of handle their own business, I don't understand.
Your company have been at the centre of a very high-profile one at the moment with Candace Owens, who's now left Daily Wire. Was she fired, or did she leave of her own volition?
I'm not going to speak to this topic, Piers.
At all?
At all.
You can't give me any insight into why she departed?
No hints, no nothing. I'm not going to speak to this.
Can I ask why?
I mean, you can ask.
No, I'm not. You can ask why you don't want to say anything.
Again, you can ask.
He can't answer. Ben Shapiro cannot answer this question that Piers Morgan is asking because it's so hypocritical if he does answer it. He's probably going to hide behind, there's contract situations in place, there's legal problems in place, whatever. He's going to hide behind that if really pressed on it. He's very, very happy, it seems like, or at least trying to act happy that Candace Owens is gone. He's going to hide, if really pressed on it, he's going to hide behind, there's legal situations, there's contract situations, whatever. The reason why he can't answer this question is because it's going to make him and the Daily Wire look extremely bad if people really find out, if he says exactly why Candace Owens was fired. Right now, we all kind of know why she was fired, but until it comes out of Ben Shapiro himself's mouth, and it kind of already came out of Jeremy Boring's mouth on the Twitter space, but until it comes out of Ben Shapiro's mouth directly, why Candace Owens was fired, then they still can hide behind like, oh, you don't actually know. Like there was some behind the scenes things that happened and nobody really knows what happened in the general public, even though we do know what happened. But when Ben Shapiro actually does reveal the real reason, then we can really find out how hypocritical he is. And I don't know if he'll ever reveal the real reason, but hopefully somebody like Candace or somebody else reveals the real reason of why Candace Owens was fired from the Daily Wire.
I'm only curious because I know what a staunch defender of free speech you are. And it would surprise me if it had been someone's opinions that would make you want to part company with them, however contentious.
I mean, suffice it to say, the only thing I will say is what I've said all along with regard to Candace or with regard to any of our other hosts. I am not in hiring and firing position with the Daily Wire. I'm a co-founder of the Daily Wire. I'm a co-owner of the Daily Wire. I'm not actually in management. Jeremy Boring and Caleb Robinson are in management positions with regard to Candace or anyone else. And as far as the free speech situation, what I will say is that no company has the obligation to literally pay anyone. The Daily Wire is a publisher. It is not a platform. I've never called for Candace or anyone else for that matter to be banned from YouTube, to be banned from X, to be banned from any platform. That's a different story, obviously, when it comes to any publisher.
Yeah, you can say that. We all know that Ben Shapiro does have the powers to influence Jeremy Boring. He's a co-founder of the company. Obviously, if he wants someone fired, he can probably just tell Jeremy Boring, go ahead and fire this person. That's probably what ended up happening with Candace Owens. Obviously, we don't know. And then as far as, you know, the Daily Wire has no obligation to pay people to say opinions that they don't agree with. Obviously, that's true. But it's very hypocritical of someone like Ben Shapiro or anyone involved in the Daily Wire to say something like that, because I complain about this too, but the Daily Wire and a lot of conservatives complain that there's so many leftist echo chambers out there. Like none of the leftists will ever debate anyone or have conversations with anyone that they don't agree with. We complain about that all the time, right? And then Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire participate in that and fire someone who is still largely on their side of the whole culture war, but disagrees with them on this one topic that seems to be completely off limits to disagree with Ben Shapiro on, and she's gone. Because then they're hiding behind, oh, we don't have to employ anyone who's saying opinions that we don't agree with. Like, we're not obligated to pay them. And it's like, but you complain about leftist echo chambers all the time. And now whenever it's your company, it's totally fine to create an echo chamber. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, you're taking the moral high ground and saying, well, we're not obligated to pay anyone who's not going to stay the same opinions that we have. Of course you're not obligated. You're not obligated to pay anyone. You're not obligated to start the company of the Daily Wire. You're also not obligated to complain about leftist echo chambers and then create an echo chamber of your own at the Daily Wire.
Sure, gets to make decisions about what it wishes to purvey and not.
I mean, I'm just not going to labour this, but one more point I would make is it's been reported extensively that the reason for her departure was because her comments have been perceived by people at the Daily Wire as anti-Semitic.
Again, I'm not going to comment on this, Piers.
Okay. Rabbi Shmuley, would you comment on him? Because Jeremy has actually commented on Rabbi Shmuley.
Piers Morgan's so funny, man. He's like, I'm not going to push the Candace Owens thing too hard. He's like, I'm going to ask one more question. Ben Shapiro's like, all right, I'm not going to comment on that. He's like, okay, Rabbi Shmuley. Like, he basically just pivots right into another Candace Owens controversy. Yeah, Piers Morgan's so funny, dude. I don't agree with him on many, many things, but it's stuff like that it's funny.
Avoided commenting publicly on Rabbi Shmuley because, as far as I can tell, the man is an attention whore of the highest order. Is that the general position of the company on Mr. Shmuley? I
mean, that's my personal position for sure. I mean, I think that, Rabbi Shmuley happens to be a person with whom I agree on some matters related to, say, Middle East policy. And I also believe that his devotion to camera and notoriety have made him do some untethered things in recent days.
I mean,
and yet you never defended Candace Owens when he was going after Candace Owens, and you actually fired Candace Owens for defending herself against him, or, that being one of the many things that she was fired for, but all of them being just her defending herself and her stating her opinions on the Middle East stuff. Anyway, let me know what you guys are thinking about Ben Shapiro's appearance over on Piers Morgan. I thought it was a great one. After this point right here, it just kind of goes into a bunch of stuff that aren't related to Candace Owens, not related to the Daily Wire. So a bunch of stuff that you probably didn't click on this video for. So if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I hope to see you guys on the next video.